Joe Schmo's kid, that everybody knows Joe, and, that he did a horrible job, and he got let go from the, from whatever department he was in. That's one of the reasons. And we also had a recent thing with a employee that we hired, but the job was not set up to start for another 6 weeks. Well, he was going to keep his old job for that 6 weeks. And if we would have done that publicly on here and said, hey, that Sally is being hired for this position and it starts here, and Sally's friend watched or looked at the news and everything else, and then goes to work the next day and says, hey, did you hear that Sally got a job? These are probably 99% of what all of our closed session meetings are. Now then, I can tell you that, everybody up here calls Terry and asks him questions and everything else, and we hit him up quite frequently, and especially in a closed session meeting. If we get off topic, he sits there and brings us back on topic. So, we've got one department here that has a hard time because it is hard physical labor, especially in that department. And, and most people nowadays don't want to work. So and probably most of our closed session meetings have been about that department and hiring and firing an employee from there. So it's just, that's where we're at. But again, one of the biggest aspects right now is 2 weeks from today, get up, before you get up early, before you go into work, while you're at lunch, when you get off of work, go vote. And because every single ward and the mayor's spot has somebody for you to vote for. So get out and do that. So, all right, that's all within 30 minutes. Let's go for public comment.
I'll go first this time instead of last. You want to pass those out for me? Hello everyone, good evening. I am Carolyn Ellis. My husband Charles Ellis is passing out some kind of just a short brief overview. We've talked several times about forming a community initiative to help pick up the trash around Kennett and from the city limit signs in. And I just wanted to, I've taken some time to provide just kind of a summary. I'm not sure if I have a document for everyone in the room, but it will, next week we will have a website so it'll be posted so that individuals that are interested in participating can read. So, one of the things I always like to start with is the why. So people have asked, why are you doing this? And I just want to reiterate that recently I moved back to Kennett. I am a Kennett native and was born and raised here, went to school here, graduated, and moved on out of the city and have lived in multiple cities. And the problem of trash is not unique to Kennett. And it is not a criticism of any individual, organization, group. It's that just sometimes you don't realize it, and then all of a sudden there's tons of trash and you just don't realize that it's there. So it's just an effort to bring us together and do something together to move the trash. And so after researching it, we really tried to just kind of shorten it and say, oh, we can get this done in a weekend. But when we looked at it and looked at the groups that we would want to engage, it is going to be accomplished over a 5-week period of time. And so I wanted to give you the highlights of that 5-week period of time. The first week, we were going to engage community service workers kicking off March 18th. And that would involve us working from the city limit signs on all areas into the city and picking up that trash. Then we would, that would be a constant, process, if you will. The next part of the program would be, during the second week, we had mentioned that our focus initially was going to be on Ward 1, and during that second week, which would be beginning March the 24th, we would be asking the Girl Scouts, Boy Scouts, any civic organizations to help us do a focused effort on Ward 1. And we have had some initial conversations with those groups, and they have voiced interest in helping us with that process. Week 3 and 4, we've also talked to the Chamber of Commerce, and they have said they would assist us with sending a message to the businesses and asking the businesses to engage by picking up the trash at their local business and around their local business. And so he's going to send a message. He's also going to mention it at the chamber meeting. And then after that, he is also going to let us follow up with passing out flyers to those businesses and verbally asking. Week 5 was kind of our grand finale week. We have talked to Dr. Leaker. He's asked us to put a summary together, and we were going to ask school-age children from the 6th grade to the 12th grade to help us with a simple engagement by sending a trash bag home and pick up the trash in your own yard. And if your parents agree, ask a neighbor, can you help them also? Because that would extend the footprint of our cleanup outside of Ward 1 and also provide some education to the kids about how to keep the trash clean. And the last thing would be a grand finale event that would be in the Willoughby Park on Earth Day, and we would provide food, entertainment, and prizes and things like that. Our simple ask of the city of Kennett right now is, one, just help support us verbally in a positive manner. For example, the Missouri Department of Conservation may be helping us with some wildflower seeds and things like that. So they may be asking, you know, are you aware of this? You know, do you support it? So we're just asking for positive support. The next thing is guidance to resources. So if you know of resources or businesses in Kennett that, you know, would be interested in donating trash bags, supplies, things like that, we plan to post a list of those types of needs. Help us with positive reinforcement there. Randy Carter has been meeting with us, and he has helped us with suggestions around the composting, picking up the sticks and brush, the things that we collect to get those out of the way. So we ask you to help us coordinate that. We're also asking for some signage, possibly, like do not litter signs, things to help us support maintaining this long-term, keep Kennett clean, things like that. And then just to continue the beautification subcommittee, I know it was a temporary committee for possibly another purpose, but we met last night with that group and they were very engaged. They had suggestions, cautionary suggestions, so if that subcommittee would continue on to support our effort, I think that would be very beneficial. Terry mentioned that we might need a waiver, so like we plan to go and ask neighbors, is it okay for us to pick up trash in your yard, and if so, we're going to put little flags, those little metal flags that the CLGW normally uses as a marker, we're going to put those in the yards to indicate, yes, you can, you know, come on my yard. And that's kind of the overall summary. And again, I know when you look at the time frame that it seems like it's a long time frame, but we don't plan on working every single day in there. We will provide informational to say, you know, it's this weekend. We just wanted to make sure we plan for rain contingency. It's, you know, there's never a perfect plan, but we wanted to make sure that there were allowances to get the job done and do it well. So that's kind of my overview right now. We were going to use my parents' store located at 1116 North Vanderbilt. That store's not open anymore, but it's a great location for headquarters where we can pass out supplies, food, snacks, water, bathroom, things like that. So I'm going to pause for a moment. I think I went over my 5 minutes they told me to plan for. my timekeeper back there.
That's why I stayed seated.
So anyway, that's kind of just the overview of what we've talked about. I wanted to come back and, you know, express our desire for support, and then I will let you ask any questions if any citizens have any questions.
I have a comment.
Yes.
This is the kind of thing that's going to definitely improve the looks of the city and show a little bit more community support, and it'll be a very positive step is the way I see it. And I'm very happy that you're doing this. This is great.
Thank you. Thank you. Are there any other comments? Again, like I said, the initial focus was going to be Ward 1, but as we talk to more and more citizens, we've even talked to some of the businesses and some of the other councilmen, and there was a desire to do a little bit more, but we know that more requires participation. So we're going to, again, actively have more visible materials available. so that you can go get information and pass that information along starting next week.
Very good.
Okay.
We've discussed it, it's been mentioned here, go ahead and get a formal approval, to use the compost if it's an outside, the city truck hauling it down there in conjunction, limbs and leaves in conjunction with this project. We don't know exactly how that's gonna be set up, whether we'll make a placard for their truck or something like that, but it will be controlled. Can we get an agreement from the council to use the compost facility for that?
Who wants to make that motion?
Yeah.
Okay, Mary's making the motion. Wait a second. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right.
Hey, y'all could vote it too.
All right.
We don't get paid for this,
All right. Any other public comment?
Mayor, council, recently our fire protection went from 4 to a 5 due to some inaccurate reporting, which resulted in an 8 to 10% increase on the homeowner's insurance. My question is, who's the responsible party for this reporting the findings, and what safeguards are in place so that this doesn't happen again?
Under fire committee, Lance, you wanna?
Y'all voted on it, but I think it was last week, there was set up ordinance that would be city like gas and water in conjunction with a firefighter, a fire officer. Is that not right, Dan?
Well, the actual reporting went to ISO, the numbers were incorrect, that's been going on for 6 or 8 months. I don't know if you've seen the news, but it's been pretty contentious between.
Do we have an update on that? Did we hear back if it can be corrected?
I
After the 6
actually
months?
typed up an email to Greg and didn't send it because I didn't want to bother him. We're waiting to hear back from ISO. They were on site. Lance stood up about a month and a half, 6 weeks ago and said, hey, it's probably gonna change. They got 2 new fire trucks since they were here last. And we actually got them the correct data. So we're doing that, and then that's when I
Or we
asked.
were past the 6 month